So I got this Spirit Halloween costume about a month ago because you know I was in that store as soon as they opened their doors. So it's a Corpse Bride Halloween costume. I have always loved the Corpse Bride. So I got this girl. She was $59.99, so she was 60 bucks US dollars. So the idea is I'm gonna try this baby on and I'm going to kind of review it and pick it apart until it is completely obliterated. Yeah, I'm gonna just give a little review of this. Then I'm gonna go ahead and make my own version of the costume. By the way, this is not sponsored by Spirit Halloween or anything. I went in and I saw this and I was like, okay, I gotta get it. And I had this idea for this video. That's it, that's all. Dress up time. First thing I noticed is that I really like the colors. Oh, okay, so it's not two pieces, it's just one dress. They've got this, are these straps? Oh, is it like a halter top? The bottom is just like your normal, like costumey kind of fabric. This already looks really pretty. I really like the flowers that they used in this. They're all very muted colors. And I feel like you could like potentially go really wrong with the Corpse Bride because they could have used like a brighter blue, but instead they used these really nice grayish velvety silk flowers and leaves. I might just use this for my version because this is really nice. I really like this. 10 points to Spirit Halloween. And then they've got these little lace gloves. This is so cute. You're in the video. It's so cute. This is so pretty. Look, they even added like tears to the bottom to make it all like a dead person is wearing it. Wow. This is a really nice costume, which I appreciate because I dropped 60 bucks on it. Good job, Spirit Halloween. I thought there would be a lot more things to pick at, but this is looking nice. If I'm nitpicking here, the dress isn't long enough. If you're going for screen accuracy, it's not as long as her train in the original movie. I understand why they didn't have like a 40-foot long train on the end of this dress because that would cost so much money. It would not be a $60 Spirit Halloween costume. It would be like a $1,000 Spirit Halloween costume. So for my dress, I think I would like to incorporate a more gauzy looking skirt, a little more see-through, like it's been decaying underneath the earth for years and years. I like all the little details in it. I like the color theme. I like the veil. I like the flower crown. I like the lace gloves. I like how comfy it is. Like this is a really soft material because sometimes Halloween costumes can be really, really itchy. And I'm not getting that from this. This is really nice. This gives me some ideas on how I would like to make my own costume and how I think I can improve upon this. I don't think even I can make my costume 100% accurate to the original movie, but I thought it would be just like a fun little challenge to like compare and contrast and see what I could do with the fabrics I have at home. All right, let's get started. First off, I watched the movie and took a bunch of notes on all the costumes in it. I was thinking about doing a historically accurate version, but then I decided not because the historical inspiration in the movie is all over the place, some 1890s, some Edwardian. So I decided I'm just going to stay true to the character's costume in the movie. For this look, I'm going for spooky, rotting, and schmexy. I'll be attempting to use fabrics that I already have in my stash. I have this sheer chiffon-like fabric that I want to use for the skirts. So I think I might have enough for this. This dress is going to have a long train, so I need as much fabric as I can get. And I'll be using this McCall's pattern for the skirts. I love this pattern. I use it all of the time. I lay my fabric down on the floor and set down the pattern pieces, and I kind of cut it a little bit longer so it can have a longer train. I sew all the pieces together and I cut a slit down the front of the skirt and sew the edges down so it doesn't fray, and then I decide what buttons I want to use. I go for this one, and then I put a hook and eye on the waistband as well to help give it some extra support. Next, the corset / bodice. I'm going to tweak my previous corset pattern so that way the center bust just lays further down on the waist. I made a quick mock-up and I think it's going to be just the right amount of schmexy. I'll be using this cotton coutil with this poly satin fabric from Joann Fabrics. Did some base stitching on all of the pattern pieces, and then I went to work putting in the busk. That's always fun. I hand stitched it because I did not want to use my sewing machine because that's scary. I sewed all the pieces together with the coutil sides facing each other. Then I cut out the binding and boning channels, based and stitched them on, and then I hammered in all of the eyelets. I chose a grayish blue ribbon to lace up the corset with, and the base of the corset was done, so that means it's time to add all the decorations and lace. I wanted to dye it blue on the edges and give it an ombre effect. I quickly made some lace gloves and did this to them as well. I just watered down the dye and brushed it on so it made an ombre effect. I did this to the skirt, both the top of it and the bottom, and I added all the swirls, big swooping swirls, just like in the movie. The veil was super simple. I just put it on my head and started cutting it up. I want it as worn and torn as possible, so I put a cheese grater to it as well. And then I painted it the same exact way as the skirt. I just gave it that ombre swirl effect. And I wanted to make a shift to go underneath the corset because you're always supposed to wear something underneath the corset. So I used this 1920s dress that I made as a pattern, and it's really simple, rectangular shape. I dipped this in the dye bath to make it blue, and I sewed some gray-blue lace along the neckline. Back to the corset, I dyed some lace ombre as well, and I cut it up and sewed it on. Then I drew out some butterflies to incorporate that aspect from in the movie when she turns into butterflies, spoiler alert. To make them blue, I dipped them in the dye bath as well, except the first ones I made were a little too big, so I made smaller ones, and then I sewed them up the middle to make them a little bit more 3D looking and sewed them onto the corset. I want to get as detailed as possible, and she has pearls on her bodice in the movie, so I added some pearls to my corset. But she also has her ribs showing, but I don't want to paint ribs onto this corset and potentially ruin it, so I'm going to paint them on a separate piece of fabric and then sew them on. I just really want to make these detachable so that way I can use this corset for future things. I added some lace around the edges to help it blend in a little bit more. I got these silks from Michaels, and I'm going to wrap them up with pretty ribbons and make them into her bouquet. The Spirit Halloween costume did not come with a bouquet, and what is a bride without her bouquet? So I just wrapped some ribbon around these flowers real quick and pinned them in place with some pretty shiny fancy lace. Ooh, I rhymed. The Spirit Halloween costume also did not come with a wig, but luckily I have a wig, but I had a hell of a time trying to get it to the shade of blue with hairspray paint, but I managed. And thus my version of the gown was finished, and I went in search for some spooky settings. There were a ton of crows in the park that day, so it really gave it that ambiance. This was my first time attempting to paint my body a color, and I chose the wrong kind of paint. I chose grease paint. I read like the ingredients on this stuff, and it's all just like petroleum jelly and color. Jelly. And it feels like it. It's not fun. But you know, I'm not a makeup and special effects artist. I sew things, and that's what I did, and that's what you came here for. But if anybody in the comments can tell me any good, like, body paint brands, let me know. But as far as the actual costume goes, I am in love with it. I love the flowiness, and I love the train. And I love this corset so much that I want to eat it. I would just put it in the oven or in some soup. If it didn't ruin it, I would eat it. I ended up using the flower crown from the Spirit Halloween costume because they did a hella good job on that. These two costumes ended up costing about the same price. My skirt and veil cost me nothing. What cost me was the corset and the flowers. They ended up being around the same price as the Spirit Halloween costume, funnily enough. The Spirit Halloween costume is super comf, and I'm gonna wear it around the house. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed all this Corpse Bride stuff. Like and subscribe if you want. I make dresses and sometimes I animate things. Thank you for watching. Okay, I think that's good. I don't know.